Are the Iiconics out? Have they inspired a people to leave the ring? That's what's going on right here. Plus, we have news today on Sportskeeda Wrestling's top story of the day about Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon in the WWE. She had some pretty glaring, damning things to say about WWE in an interview and about her time there and her disappointment with getting lost in the shuffle of WWE, to say the least. Plus, Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus. Could this match happen? It could happen. We also have news of a possible WWE outbreak of COVID-19 in the company right now. And we're not done there. We have even more news. Morrissey making his All Elite Wrestling debut. He's 7 foot tall. He's back. He's working for MJF. And apparently you can't teach that. And we have some good news. We have some loving news to share about the world of wrestling. A lot to get into. Don't go anywhere. Share that link. Oh, you stink.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Watch out!
Watch out!
Watch out! Death metal, there you go. All right. So you're watching.
Watch out, Army, what's up?
You're listening to this.
Was Kev going for Tiny Tim there?
Yeah, a little bit. I was going high register. If you're watching this and you haven't hit the like button, you're watching it for free. Go ahead and do that. It's free. It helps us climb up the old proverbial internet ladder to
the algorithm.
Algorithms.
We gotta pick up that big algorithm every day and slam it on his ass. All right. And if you're with us the first time, tell us where you're watching from and get on screen and get in the conversation and drive the show. There are several people in this who spend hours with us every single week, and we really, really appreciate that. A lot of news to get into in today's show, and we will touch on all those things we teased at the beginning of the show, and we'll be goofy here. Let's get right into some serious stuff here. The Iinspiration, formerly known as the Iiconics in WWE, putting out this statement here in the last 24 hours that basically says that they are stepping away from the ring indefinitely. And they had a very short, less than a year-long run with Impact Wrestling, where in their first match, they acquired the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. They made their debut, I believe, at the Slammiversary pay-per-view. Would that be correct? Back in October?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and they had a strong run there, but it seems like, for whatever reason that we are not aware of, that they've made the call to work together once again as a team after leaving WWE and work as a team outside of it, and now they are wrapping it up as a team. It's very interesting that a lot of their decisions are so in sync with each other. Who knows what is leading to this? This doesn't appear like a return to WWE. I heard some people kind of say that. No, they're getting out of the ring indefinitely. That is the word. We don't know why, but I can tell you I've not heard anything about a return to WWE. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've asked around. But I've been told that, no, this is them stepping away from the business for the foreseeable future. Kind of a bummer, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the Bella Twins. I mean, they kind of went out at this, kind of early. I mean, they had a long run, but obviously still, there was a lot left that they could have done, much like the Iinspiration. It's kind of like a similar situation where they just want to maybe go on and do other things. It is kind of funny, though, because, there was the report that WWE wanted them back. I think they personally rejected that deal, though. So yeah, the WWE is probably not in the future there. Obviously, Cassie is married to Sean Spears of AEW, so maybe they want to have some kids, possibly. Who knows? I'm not sure if Jessie's with anyone at this time or not, but I mean, obviously Cassie and Sean are married, so maybe it's just time for them, though. They did have a good run in Impact. Impact has got a tremendous knockouts division, so it was no surprise that they made a big splash there.
I support whatever these two women want to do. These two women absolutely killed it in WWE. They killed it as the Iinspiration and Impact. And if they want to do something bigger, like, I don't know, start a podcast, start a show, start a movie, or go into movies or TV, or even just, be mothers and then just, have some pop out some kids, do it. It's fine. I think they're great. And if they do decide to come back into pro wrestling, everybody's going to welcome them with open arms, from the fans to their peers. So I think this is good. This is okay. It's not heartbreaking. it's a little heartbreaking because you're a fan, you like them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, sometimes you gotta just let them go, let them do their own things, work on themselves, and sometimes when they come back bigger than ever. So I wouldn't rule it out. I'll come back.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be WWE. Impact would probably gladly welcome them back.
I wouldn't rule out WWE.
I don't know.
Cody's going back to
either.
WWE. I wouldn't
either.
rule out WWE.
I don't know. I don't know if they're really weird on age sometimes, and so I don't know on the women's division. I mean, they're pushing girls that are 19 and 21 right now, so I don't know if WWE would do that. To be honest with you,
let me respond to this comment real quick.
To borrow a phrase, there's some things you just can't teach people. All right, and they're teaching people some things. And if WWE is going to spend money to bring Cody back into the fold from another organization, it would not surprise me if they would do it here. But I'm not ruling it out. If Cody's coming back to WWE, I'm not ruling it out. I think whatever cuts
you can say anything can happen.
Anymore. What? I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeremy. What did you say?
No, I said, you can say anything can happen with Cody being switched over there, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I think they fit better elsewhere.
I'm always in the mind that never say never. And, because they've done business with people that you would never expect doing business with. Mm-hmm. And to kind of respond here to Valtteri Tawari's comment, they did not kill in WWE. Well, they didn't kill. They stopped doing well when they got separated.
Yeah.
When they were together, they were absolutely fantastic on either brand. They were,
behind Billy Kay on her own.
I absolutely
loved
them.
When she had the resume bit on SmackDown, I thought that was funny.
Crowd was always behind them. They enjoyed them. And then they broke them up, and what did they do? They put them in tag teams. I mean, that was the most ridiculous thing they could do.
It was. So it's not them. It was more of the way that they were booked and taken care of, and they weren't taken care of.
Because they did the same thing with Heavy Machinery. They broke them up, and then they put them both in tag teams. It was like, well, they really didn't do anything with Tucker, but now they put Otis in a tag team. So it's weird what they do sometimes.
Moving along here, more news to cover in the world of wrestling. Thank you to the new people joining the show. This one has been getting a lot of attention, and we want people to sound off on it. This is a very ladies heavy show here. We have like 3 heavy stories here.
Ladies night.
We gotta give the ladies the love, man.
Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon in WWE, revealed a lot of details, some pretty nasty ones about her exit from WWE and last year, and a lot of them were pretty alarming. This was in a very in-depth interview with Chris Van Vliet, who gets great interviews. There's a lot of people who love having these deep, in-depth conversations with them. She basically lays out that she got lost in the structure of WWE, that the plan was for her to go back to NXT following some injury time and come back and kind of be repackaged, rebuild, help out other talent, do right by the other talent in the system for after her tenure in the main roster on Raw and SmackDown, and then get ready for another run on Raw and SmackDown. And she got close to doing that, and to the point where they were like, hey, we're going to need you to change your hair. You're going to have to go back to the fire hair type look. This is word from on top. And she did the hair herself, which is a process. When you start talking about dyeing your hair, that takes a while. Literally, it's a process. Mm-hmm. And then she gets up and they say, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, right before it happens. And this is a part of being in WWE, and they're shuffling. Now, the thing that's getting the most attention, after she gets a little bit more emotional, starts laying out some things here about how much NXT changed after Triple H wasn't involved and he was on medical leave. And she kind of brought up this thing that has really gone viral. This is the big quote that everyone's kind of pulling from this interview, is that WWE had meetings with people and a fashion expert, as she described, to dress sexier. Now, Fightful has fallen up on this, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is such a change. This is such a change. But this is something we heard, is that they were saying like, oh yeah, we're going to let the women on NXT be a little bit more sexier. We're going to let them push the bounds. It's going to be different from Raw and SmackDown a little bit in terms of presentation. But what is that? What are the new details that kind of came out on that?
From the what Amber said in the interview was that we would have to sit through stupid meetings about how we'd have to dress sexy. I remember looking at someone else and laughing. I cater to children. I'm not about to wear fishnet booty butt cheek shorts. That is a lot of syllables right there. Because we had a 2-hour meeting about how to dress like Mandy Rose. That's not fair. Mandy is absolutely phenomenal, an amazing person, but not everyone is Mandy Rose. I started seeing this as a downslope as soon as Hunter was gone. For the first bit, we didn't know why. We just knew he wasn't there. I got so angry. I was sitting there thinking, I did nothing wrong. I didn't piss off Vince. They took Shotzi away. Hunter's gone. You guys promised me this wouldn't happen. You guys promised I wouldn't be lost in the shuffle. I went on a losing streak to help you guys out and to build other talent so I could get a reward. Fightful learned about those meetings. It was like a 2-hour meeting Athena had mentioned several months ago, but couldn't get anyone on the record that attended them. Now they're told that the NXT meetings were under the guise of fashion consulting and fashion aid to play up the fact that the women on the brand were larger than life stars. The company brought in a fashion expert to conduct meetings back in October of last year. One wrestler in NXT said that was a stark contrast because prior people on the roster were encouraged to either just wear their gear or an available merchandise shirt. Several people on the roster expressed displeasure that the meetings took place and pointed the finger at John Laurinaitis as they started. We want those butt cheeks to come out.
We want those Ember Moons.
Despite the blame, they have not been able to confirm that Laurinaitis had anything to do with it.
No, Jeremy, I'm sorry to interrupt you reading hard news, but Jose.
That wasn't Nishad Ali Jawad. I'm just reading his comments.
We want to see the moons. Okay. Come on, Ember.
Ember's moons.
I could probably do the voice better now that I've been sick. One talent on the background said that they were encouraged to dress similarly backstage and didn't outright say that dressing sexier was spoken out loud, but it was implied. And they were given pamphlets and showing photos of examples. Literally, it's like a page of 20 photos of women that are pretty scantily dressed. It says, hey, dress like this.
So,
without saying the word, you need to dress sexy, but implied.
Hey, take a look at these photos. Let me know what you think, and let's keep it tight.
So I've been able to text with a couple of people that know people that may or may not have attended these meetings. And this is something I got in the last, I want to say like an hour ago. And the basically paraphrasing, making a mountain out of a molehill was what I got. It simply isn't that big of an issue. But they did say that the things that she expressed about getting lost in the shuffle seem accurate.
Well, so, yeah, they I mean, her and Shotzi had such great chemistry.
Yeah,
and then
in the interview, she lays out a lot about how that like their tag team had a lot of momentum, and then they broke up the tag team, brought Shotzi over to SmackDown.
And her and Tegan are both great, but had no chemistry whatsoever. And obviously, it didn't last long because there just wasn't any chemistry there.
Yeah, I was heartbroken when they got separated. And,
yeah, that was such a great team.
Yeah, they just meshed so well. The whole tank and army goth gimmick. It was just punk rock. It was awesome. It was great, and it meshed very, very well. That could have gone really well on the main roster, to be honest. That could have gone really, really really on SmackDown. I don't know what they were thinking at that time.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if I would say a mountain out of a molehill though when it's women being told this. And
I'm just carrying a quote that I got.
I'm just saying women being told this.
Agree.
I don't that's kind of going backwards in society by saying, well, you didn't believe what she had to say. And
I'm not. They believe what she had to say about getting lost in the system, but these meetings and things I'm told are common. Like these are common things in other companies as well. So that was another thing as I was told. These are common things in other companies as well. And the person who told me this would have some insight on this. Doesn't mean they were there, but they said like stuff like that happens all the time. They did tell me that the tag team getting broken up was critical. And they think that's kind of what contributed to it being lost. I wish I could say more, but I can't. Roland Curtis, thank you for the super chat. Ember's top rope somersault stunner was me. One of the best. Mm-hmm. One of the best finishes.
The Eclipse, love that.
Oh, man, that was cool. That looks so brutal too.
It did.
Thank you so much for the support there. We continue with these female-fronted stories here, as we have rumblings of a possible dream match. Is there a dream match in the works? Trish Stratus says she's had her final singles match and a losing effort a few years ago on a WWE pay-per-view. PLE against Charlotte Flair, but.
Need the PLE buzzer.
What? Excuse me? What?
Did you say pay-per-view?
What about Becky Lynch? Now we're hearing that Becky Lynch is ready to take on Trish Stratus. Is this a possibility? Trish has had a relationship with WWE recently, on and off, and was set to host in December during the kind of the Omicron wave to host and be a contributor to live events for WWE in Canada. So what do you think here, boys? What is this? What's going on here?
I don't know. I think.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
I think I don't know. They've had exchanges in the past, and I mean, hell, if Stone Cold can have a match in 2022, Trish Stratus can have a match in 2022, because we all know that she keeps in tremendous shape. So, I would like to see it. Honestly, I'd like to see a lot of Trish and somebody currently on the roster. Same with Lita. I would love Lita, and Lita, Lita even said just recently, they give her a call, she'll come. So I would love a Trish and Lita tag team championship run just somewhere down the line. I thought we might have gotten it maybe during WrestleMania, but we didn't.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I love the idea. Just that Becky went ahead and teased it right during her interview. And what I loved about the quote was that, that she beat up her hero, right? She beat up Lita in Saudi Arabia. And Trish wasn't her favorite. So imagine what she wants to do or gonna do to Trish. So just by trash talking that little bit during that interview and trying to incite Trish Stratus, that might be enough just to bring her back at one of these big stadium shows. We got a UK show coming up. That'll be great for that. That'll be a great platform. Becky Lynch, UK representing.
Yeah,
Trish Stratus right there. That'll be a huge matchup for that UK show. So I don't know. I think the possibility is there.
I think she's trying to speak it into existence, and then, WWE will listen to her. So if Trish wants to go, I think it'll happen. The WWE will listen to Becky's wishes. She's got that kind of pull, and Trish has got that kind of pull as well. So,
and the thing is, just Trish want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody where she has children. She's obviously in shape. She's still involved in the fitness world. And will do appearances for WWE, usually once or twice a year since she's exited. And she's done a handful of matches. She did a WrestleMania match about 10 years ago. She appeared on Raw and did a match as well. She's always kind of been down to do this stuff. It'll be interesting to see how this works, because I think the current crop, and this isn't me dissenting or poo-pooing on it, right? But I do think the current crop of the fandom behind female superstars in WWE, there's starting to be a little bit more of a generational gap, just like we see with different things. I think the younger fans will be like, that's your wrestler, this is our wrestler. And I do think that's something you can play on. I think that kind of like separation of, like, for the younger fans, this is Becky is their character, the one that they got into. Whereas, for maybe more fans like around our age, we're like, come on, Trish, go and mess this girl up, right?
Exactly.
And
but then
so
you got those millennials that are huge Bella fans.
Yeah. Huge time. Like,
and now you got the younger generations that's gonna see Cora Jade. They're gonna see Nikita Lyons, and it's just
Bianca Belair right now. With the example
Bianca
that
Belair,
she's setting for these young African American girls globally. I mean, it is. It is. And really heartwarming.
Next Friday we're gonna get Trish Adora and Willow teaming together. Two of the best independent women in the world are going to show up on Rampage on Friday, which is very exciting to see.
Guys, if you haven't done it yet, you got to slam that like button. You got to do that now. You got to engage with the show. I see 77 of you in here.
I think Kev needs to hit it with a countdown.
I'm gonna hit with a 3. Getting that thumb ready. Get that thumb ready. Find out where the like is on the screen. Find out where the like is.
Claymore.
2. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. 1. There we go. You hit it right there. It's a Thumble Rumble, baby. It's a Thumble Rumble.
He's counting it down like Drew counts down the Claymore.
There you go. All right, so it's weirdly months ago, a COVID-19 situation in a wrestling organization would be our leadoff story. And we've come into a certain place as a society now where you can hear about popular figures in sports and entertainment getting COVID-19, and there isn't this irrational rush to everyone to say they got it because of this and it's a conspiracy theory, and all these different things. It's something now to a degree that we can live with. The Center for Disease Control in the United States saying the pandemic stage of COVID-19 may have ended and that it has become manageable. So that is a fun thing to hear. It is a relieving thing to say. And if you contribute in some way to the fight of the pandemic by getting vaccinated or doing your part or testing yourself regularly, you can manage it. And plus, also recent strains of the virus by all health sources, including the World Health Organization, have stated that the recent strains, though more transmissible and can be transmitted to people who are vaccinated, are not as severe as early ones, but still poses a threat to people that have certain comorbidities. Those things aside, okay, WWE reportedly has had an outbreak of this recently. What talents at what level, we're not exactly certain. It is worth noting this is coming from the Wrestling Observer. Big Papa Dave Meltzer reporting this, and he states that though WWE no longer enforces a testing policy, many superstars are doing it themselves by simply just being on the road, being around crowds, and taking an increased risk. That's smart. You see symptoms, you go and test yourself. I think that's smart, and now it's manageable. How is this going to affect the Backlash pay-per-view coming up here in a little while? Because that was something that happened to WWE throughout the pandemic. Happened at the beginning of the year. Omicron, you had Roman Reigns being pulled from the show.
Happened for WrestleMania.
And almost could have been some WrestleMania stuff too. So what do you think here? This seems like a much more manageable stage that we're in here with life, and this has less to do with WWE dealing with it. Not to belittle anyone's.
Rhea Ripley is a good example, right? Because Rhea Ripley had COVID about a week and a half ago, and she was only off of the show for 1 week, and so she made a quick comeback. And that's what you're noticing a lot now, I guess, with this new strain, or now at this stage of the pandemic, now because we do have a lot more people who have been exposed to it, either through the vaccine or actually catching the actual virus. Their antibodies have built up and they get through it a lot quicker, right? So I think we're at a point right now that it's manageable like the cold, manageable like the flu, as long as you're healthy. And I think WWE sees that, and the superstars recognize that is not such a big deal anymore. So and you're right, Kevin. Like I remember a year ago breaking news because Drew McIntyre had COVID-19, and at the time that was a big deal because we're still learning about it. But now fast forward a year later, we're at a point where, all the states are open. Everything's, kind of normal here in the United States. There's still places around the world that are still in lockdown mode. However, we've gotten to a point now that we just rather kind of carry on and live forward and not really let this control us anymore.
Jeremy, do you think it's too early to pull the testing? You think WWE should continue to do that just so you don't deal with the inconvenience of the whole thing?
I mean, if the superstars want to take the initiative themselves to do it, I think it's perfectly fine. I think the key thing is as long as they're vaccinated. I think that's the key thing. If they want to test themselves, I mean, the Postal Service put out the free tests. I got mine. You were able to sign up.
We got those in what January. We should have those before Christmas. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. And Carmella said she just had it. We saw her on TV this week, so same situation. She was getting slapped. God, she got slapped pretty good by.
She did. She got cracked really hard.
Hangman Page, obviously, Double or Nothing is a little further away. But yeah, they had to heavily rewrite AEW. I don't know. They must have had something big with him and Punk planned, where instead they had Punk maybe on commentary for that tremendous Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler match. Yeah, oh my! I knew it was gonna bang.
Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it, go seek it out. I love it.
So I don't know if that played into it though, but Hangman, I don't know if anybody else. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that was noticeably absent, which is interesting because they come back right away. They're just gone for a week or so, and then they're back. So that's good to hear that.
We got this comment here from Chungus Khan watching us on YouTube, asking us about the WWE DAZN story. We actually covered that story yesterday on yesterday's. That was our lead story. So if you want to catch that, that was we
with
spent about
Bill after
with Phil after
Bill
after was on the show. So you can check it out on yesterday's top story. We actually covered that.
You guys are crazy. That was Bill after, guys. Come on.
We have several names debuting in the next week here for All Elite Wrestling, and you may know this one right here. Formerly known as Big Cass in WWE, he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that, but he's taught himself a lot recently, getting his life back together and becoming a more healthier, more cut, more swole version of himself. And Impact Wrestling,
he is the biggest guy in the room.
Yes, he is the biggest guy in the room. Bada boom. How you doing? And now he is apparently set for a big debut with All Elite Wrestling. It looks like he's being primed to be the new muscle behind MJF, which is a role he's played before, where he's the muscle behind a smaller character who's on the microphone.
Yeah, well, he was brought in to Impact Wrestling by Violent by Design to be their hired gun. He never really was in the faction, and then he went on to have like just a great feud with Moose. He had a hell of a year in Impact Wrestling. I don't know if this is a Forbidden Door thing or if Tony's going to announce a signing, because his contract expired last year, and he's been working per appearance. So with Deanna also being on the show, I don't know if this is just another Impact working with AEW thing or what exactly. But it's
yes, we do have Deanna Purrazzo is set to take on Mercedes Martinez. And that involves the Ring of Honor Interim Women's Championships.
But if this is not a Forbidden Door and he's getting hired by Tony, good for him, because he proved himself very well during his time in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, and it's good on. I mean, more importantly, it's good on him for having the health and clarity in his life that he needed.
And that's something
that
we actually touched upon last year during last year's WrestleMania here in Tampa, where I actually got an exclusive with both Enzo and Cass at the time. It was the first time they actually reunited when after leaving WWE, where they actually met each other and they appeared on camera. We actually got that exclusive. You guys check that out on our YouTube channel. We did that yesterday, but we actually touched upon that about how at the time how great he was looking and how, because he was battling depression, he was battling a lot of mental health issues, and that reflected on his physical appearance. And he just did this one big 180, and look how tremendous this guy looks. This guy is in way better shape than he ever was than in WWE. So for him to be getting this opportunity, hopefully, right, that it is him, because why would you tease something that you can't teach, right? Like, why would you tease that if you're not going to bring the guy that has a catchphrase?
There's not many more monsters outside of Lance Hoyt or Lance Archer and God, who else did he throw out? I mean, there's not too many more monsters bigger than Lance Archer, and W. Morrissey is one of them.
This is a good thing for him, man.
Oh man, that popped me. I was
yeah, this is good.
That was a surprise. That was a big surprise last night. The internet was burning down when MJF said that.
Can I burn down the chat with this question?
Oh boy,
what do we got over here?
How far are we from Enzo joining him?
My buddy, my podcast co-host Matt is going because it's in Baltimore, and he's like, man, I want him to be there. So, there's
what do we got over here?
We got
a couple of haters.
They were so good together at NXT. They were so,
but it looks so over, guys. I'm still baffled they never got the tag titles.
If he gives MJF the middle finger, I want Enzo to be with him if he's going to be a babyface, because they were so entertaining together in NXT.
I don't know if you can hotshot it that quickly if you want to bring him out, but who knows? I mean, it's certainly. I mean,
MJF pisses off people, so
yeah,
you can hotshot a middle finger to MJF easily because he's an asshole.
Their names are so tied together. I think Enzo, in terms of the testy things that he likes to say on the microphone and how colorful he can be, would be quite the.
That would be a sight to see, a promo battle between MJF and Enzo.
Oh, yeah. And
that would be historic.
You could get like a tag match like MJF and Sean Spears against Enzo and Cass.
There you go. But then this is all about Wardlow. So this whole thing's about feeding bodies to Wardlow to crush.
They slow, they still slow burn things. I mean, look at sweet little what's her name? Sweet little with the Varsity Blondes, She's sitting there on the stairs all despondent, still wearing the eye patch because she's joining the House of Black, Julia Hart.
She's playing the long game.
They love the long game in AEW.
They love the long. Oh yeah, they live and die by the long game in AEW.
Remember this angle from 7 weeks ago? Because
you can't just. I don't think
that happened.
You can't feed MJF to Wardlow on TV. I don't think you gotta You got to double or nothing that.
You know what? Who knows though? Because I think there's so much. They don't have the same type of bookending on their storytelling that like WWE has.
Yeah,
they have a pay-per-view every month, and I think the reason things feel so more drawn out there is because they are. They have
and they give
pay-per-view
us big
every 4
things
months.
on TV for free.
Yes, and they give you big pay-per-view style matches on television.
I feel like this should be a pay-per-view thing though with these two guys.
I agree. I think this should be a pay-per-view thing.
Congratulations are in order for Bray Wyatt and JoJo Offerman. They've gotten engaged. Congratulations to this couple. They've been together for some years. This is good news. Good stuff for Bray. Post WWE, we understand he is working on a horror film project. We don't hear anything else about his status. We did hear that there was no movement on him joining All Elite Wrestling, though many people were hoping that would happen.
But his brother is coming back somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So certainly interesting here, and happy for them. I mean, this is just good feel good news here. Good news story to wrap up the day. We had a bummer story with Athena earlier. Very upset to hear about that. So good to have a story that is positive.
Absolutely. You always want to start with a positive. Well, usually start with a positive and end with a positive. So, yes.
Do you guys think Bo Dallas announcing he's returning to wrestling is going to be any indicator that that Wyndham is going to be not far behind?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know Bray has done some convention stuff that's very, very sporadic, and obviously those conventions, if you're only sporadic about them, you're only going to them because they're lucrative, right? And it's comfortable and all these different things. I know from talking to people in the industry, there's been offers for him to do independent dates, and he's not biting, and I remember we were talking when that release happened. I was like, this guy, if he hits the independents, he's gonna make a ton of money, and he opted not to do that. Now he's doing this other stuff, and obviously he's getting engaged, so it's just a different point in his life. He seems like a guy who wants to do very specific type of things in a very produced way, so I think that lends itself to him going down the route of doing movies and doing different things like that. He certainly has a creative ability for it. He was talking to WWE writers, as I mentioned. He was one of those guys who was finishing their sentences as they were pitching ideas to him and stuff like that. So when you have a guy like that, he's a very creative guy. He's going to find his way into entertainment in some way, even if that's not pro wrestling. Doesn't seem he's drawn to independent wrestling at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Some people in the chat saying Bray should return to WWE, and Bray is a once-in-a-lifetime superstar. I absolutely agree. People saying they made a big mistake by not keeping him. Yeah, I agree. So I think that's kind of a consensus there. But in the future, I think we'll find out more about why. I'm looking forward to that book. I want to hear that story. I want to hear the stories you can't tell right now because the wound's still fresh. So just like we heard this Athena story now, because sometimes,
which is weird because it was 9 months ago now.
Yeah, isn't that's that pandemic time, man, where you're like still like I'm still getting used to the idea of like, wait, it's been how long since this happened? What? I've been here a year. Someone just told me that. I was talking to somebody. I was like, "You've been in Sportskeeda a year?" I was like, "A year? Really?"
Yeah, dude.
I
think I got a memory from the first time you went. You did a live the first top story.
Oh, what was I think the first stuff I did for you was the WrestleMania weather report, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Jerry?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
That was when Mania was in Tampa, and it was like
live
I remember that.
Yeah, it was.
Storm.
I was talking to Jose, and I just came in, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna have you run the stream, and Jose's gonna be there." I was like, "This is the first time I'm doing it. Logistically, this is really, really hard to pull off." I was like, "What if his cell phone signal drops out? All this different stuff." And I'm talking to Jose day up, and he goes, "I think they're gonna pause the show. I don't think they're gonna start the show on time." And he's sending me pictures of it. I'm talking to other people at the show. I was like, we're doing a weather report.
Yeah.
And then we did this weather report where I thought the whole time the stream was going to shut down. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. Like right as we started, I was like, this is my first one for him.
It actually came out really good.
I remember. Well, my first one was the year-end show with Jose and Rick and Denise, and then I started doing Top Story I think in June. And then, like, literally a month on the job, on a Saturday morning, I wake up hungover and Bray Wyatt's released. So I got to hop on and break that news hungover.
So for all the big stories, all the little ones, too, we appreciate all you guys ride hard with us 5 days a week. Tomorrow is Friday. I will not be here. I will not be here. I'm working on different things for AAW. Never Say Die on Fight TV Worldwide Pay-Per-View. Hey, maybe you don't want to watch SmackDown tomorrow. go check out AAW. All right. We have banger card. We have Manders versus Silas Young, a blood feud in a steel cage. We have Josh Alexander versus Big Beef Gnarls Garvin, who I think is going to be an independent superstar. Mike Bennett taking on the Savage Weight Fred. Yeah. Speaking of Mike Bennett, I just did an interview with him. Your cousin from
Butter.
Yes. Mike Bennett and I have an interview out right now that you need to see. You really, really need to see. I know people like seeing the curtain pulled back on WWE. He pulls back the curtain on everything, on every different company, about why there's some things that are wrong across the board in wrestling. And he has some takes that may seem like hot takes, but are very logical takes, very reasonable ones. That interview's up now on our channel as well. And you can check that out at sportskeeda.com. Once again, that pay-per-view is tomorrow night on FITE.tv, FITE TV. If you watch it, take a screenshot and tweet it at me at Kev Kellam. Take a screenshot and tweet it at me, and I'll make sure that gets some internet rub from the people that need to see it as well. It really, really helps. I know you boys are busy. What do you got going on, guys?
Well, tonight, I just found out a little bit ago that my show tonight for Regan's is canceled because Rico can't make the show, so which is fine. That just gives me more time to plan out for next week. It's fine. But guys, as always, continue to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JoseG Official and on TikTok. I'm gonna be dropping. I'm working on a really cool project that's gonna be coming up here later this year. So just continue following me, and I'll be releasing little teases here and there about what I'm working on. So go ahead and do that.
Yeah, follow me on the Twitter at JB Huskers. I'm going to be doing a couple of shows on Tuesday and Wednesday, so make sure you follow me there on what's going on there. So I'll make a couple appearances, and I'll be maybe live tweeting SmackDown, which is rare because I'm going to stay home. I did a lot of partying in Denver, so I'm going to be a good boy.
Denver,
tomorrow.
Man.
Yeah, oddly enough, I did not do that.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't? Come on.
I had a lot of alcohol, though.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fine.
Over 3
Yeah,
nights.
I followed your journey. I was like, I felt like I was right there with you, drinking and eating along with all the amazing places you went to. That pinball place you went to looked amazing.
Yeah, I was in a pinball tournament, and if you went head to head with a guy, it was a sweet website app that paired you up with a guy, paired you up with a table. And when you got beat 3 times, you were out. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm probably going to go 0-3. I'll be happy to go 1-3. I ended up going 4-3. And so I had a winning record and almost made the top 10. So it was a lot of fun.
To everyone watching, thank you guys so much. To the diehards who are with us every single day, we appreciate you so much. If you're watching for the first time, listening for the first time on the podcast apps, thank you so much putting us back on the charts. Number 1 once again this week in Ireland. I really, really appreciate it.
Acknowledge us.
Yes. Remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, which is what?
You need to take a deep breath. You need to close your eyes and remember to enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Talk to them.
Let me talk to you.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.